One of the fun things about having a show about writing in an AI-powered world is that I get 2 or 3 emails a week from sketchy-looking AI startups that want me to sell their AI tools to all of you. You know, like the various AI-powered grammar and spelling tools, which I think are sure to do little more than dehydrate your writing and leave behind a style best described as a flat corporate husk. Actually, I'll have to tell you sometime about the time I tried giving sentences with obvious errors in them to AI and asked it to fix them, and well, it got it wrong every single time.
Sounds like you just did tell him the story, bud.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But anyway, then there are the ones that are peddling tools designed to humanize AI writing. And I'm still waiting for the universe to explain to me how that's useful for anything other than deception. Why is it such a bad thing for your AI-written texts to be detectable as AI? If you don't think AI is a problem, why would you hide it? Of course, if you know it's a problem, why would you use it? And then I can't help but wonder, but if you are selling a tool for cheating in school, why would you ask a teacher to advertise it for you? Hey folks, is your mean old professor trying to help you acquire an actually useful skill, but you just want to offload the learning and stay mediocre forever? Well, with our wonderful tool at liarliarpantsonfire.ai, you can turn your AI-generated texts into an incomprehensible soup of misplaced synonyms and ludicrous sentence structure. I mean, really? And to be clear, those anti-detection services do sometimes succeed in fooling detection tools, but in exchange, they spit out the most insane and unreadable nonsense. It's like when students used to swap out the wrong thesaurus words in their papers to sound more impressive, but it ended up saying things they didn't mean to say, except now it's on a much larger AI-powered scale. So not only can I not think of a single legitimate reason for using a humanizing tool, and just as a quick tip, you are a human, so writing things yourself is the best way to humanize them, but they also just don't work. But I'm not here to complain about AI. I've done plenty enough videos on that topic, and none of the AI startups have watched any of them, so they keep sending me AI-generated emails asking me to sell their interchangeable attempts to put a new ribbon on something that ChatGPT will already do poorly for you for free. No, what I'm here to do is to share with you something that popped up in one of these emails that I've never seen before. So not only did yet another robot want me to sell more robot oil, but this one also had some ideas for how I could market it when I accepted those $35 for an integrated AI sponsorship, or even up to $100 for a dedicated video about how great this amazing new technology called spelling and grammar check is. And here, in all their AI-generated glory, are the specific marketing recommendations that the robot asked me to consider. Number 1, dive into fear-inducing scenarios, like the pressure of assignments, looming deadlines, or facing submission rejection. For example, video could depict a student overwhelmed before submitting a research paper's article or assignment, with textbooks and notes scattered everywhere, and how our tool helps them with their grammar check, proofreading, and making their paper submission ready. 2, explore moments of embarrassment where you/your friends would have made a grammatical errors, especially in your thesis, articles, research papers, and they are being pointed out by your mentors, faculty, etc., creating an embarrassing situation. 3, engage in interactive roadside surveys within or outside your campus, asking people to spot grammatical errors in a sentence, record their reaction, and awarding them rewards for guessing them right. Include our branding in it, like saying avoid grammar blunders, correct your writing with our tool. And this, friends and neighbors, is finally what I've brought you here to consider today. I've spent a lot of time over the years talking about how rhetoric is a good and useful tool for getting people on the same page. It's a way to recognize our shared humanity and to work through difficult but important problems on the way to achieving our shared goals. And I stand by that. But it's also true that there are people using the tools of rhetoric for manipulative and deceptive purposes. Thousands of years ago, Aristotle argued that understanding human emotions is an essential part of effective persuasion. And it's true. How are you going to motivate someone to take action if you can't even get them to care about the issue? Avoiding or neglecting your audience's emotions is just pretending that they aren't people. Claiming to be objective and rational, the people who act like emotion should always be avoided seem to forget that human subjectivity is an objective reality. But look at what this AI company was asking me to do, explicitly, in bold text with inconsistent punctuation. They suggested selling a spell checker through fear and embarrassment. or by getting a little microphone and causing random people in the street to experience fear and embarrassment. And frankly, that's rhetoric at its worst. And it's a good reminder that there are people who are more interested in manipulating you than in persuading you. So welcome to the inaugural session of our rhetorical self-defense classes. Today, we'll be talking about the dark side of pathos, some of the nefarious strategies that people might use to manipulate your feelings into going along with their schemes so that you can be more alert and better able to deflect such underhanded strategies. To paraphrase the ancient saying, if you don't learn rhetoric, you'll be its victim. So here's how bad rhetorical actors might try to victimize you through your emotions. The good folks at the AI company allowed their robot to tell me to market their product through fear and embarrassment. And negative emotions like that are a common hallmark of manipulative rhetoric. Bad actors will try to get you to do things by making you feel bad things, all with the hope that doing those things then will help you to feel better. So if you're afraid of looming deadlines and all the stress that comes with writing a paper, why not avoid all that mess by having a robot do it for you? Or if you're afraid of the embarrassment of turning in a paper with, horror of horrors, a few grammar mistakes, why not let a robot make some questionable changes for you? But take a step back. Yes, writing papers and having your work evaluated by others can be a stressful or fearful experience. And there is potential for embarrassment when you put your work out there. But maybe then consider the emotional cost of using an AI tool to do the work for you, and consider the fear and embarrassment of being accused of cheating on an assignment, or going to an academic honesty hearing, and maybe failing an assignment, a class, or even being expelled from school. Now, the stress of writing a paper yourself doesn't really sound so bad. So do you really want to give your money to a company that's scaring you with the threats of having your teacher point out a grammar error here or there, while ignoring the potentially much greater fears of what could be at stake in using their product? Or we could consider the most cherished tradition of modern rhetorical training, illustrating Pathos with an advertisement asking for donations for an animal shelter that features a bunch of very sad-looking dogs in cages. Now we're leveraging pity and sadness rather than fear, but are you giving money to the shelter because you want to give money to a shelter, or because you want to do something about the negative emotions the advertisement's causing you to feel?
Well, hang on, Mr. Paragon of Rhetorical Virtue. Aren't you just using the fear of manipulation to get people to watch this video?
Well, that's a great point, and I'm glad you brought it up. Negative emotions can be an indicator of manipulation, but they also have a place in persuasion. Rhetoric is a complex, context-sensitive thing, so we can't just take a checklist approach to detecting and deflecting manipulative strategies. So while it's true that someone might try to manipulate you into donating to an animal shelter by making you feel strong negative emotions, someone else might feel genuinely bad about the sad animals, so they create an advertisement to raise awareness of the plight of the puppies and then ask in all earnesty for help dealing with a problem they're trying to solve. So the point is not to start calling anyone who engages a negative emotion a manipulator. Appealing to negative emotion is not by itself a guarantee of deceptive rhetoric, but it can be an indicator. As with all things rhetorical, you need to be thoughtful about context and about what you can ascertain about someone else's motives, and then draw a reasonable conclusion. And of course, it's not just negative emotions either. Flattery can feel good and still be just as damaging as scare tactics. It's just that in our outrage-driven media environment, you're probably going to run into problematic negative emotions more often than problematic positive ones. But if the emotional content of a message is not enough by itself to diagnose manipulation, we'll want to be alert to other warning signs that someone is taking an unscrupulous approach to pathos. And the next is that they may pair problematic emotions with fabricated urgency or exaggeration. For example, it's a common enough scam for people to get emails threatening them with hacked webcam photo or video evidence of them doing something shameful or embarrassing. The scammer will say that they'll release the embarrassing video to all of the victim's contacts if they don't pay up within 24 hours. So now we have negative emotions paired with fabricated urgency. Not only should you feel bad about what you allegedly did, and of course, this scam relies on you actually having done the thing they claimed you did and then being embarrassed of it, but you need to do something about it right away. You must transfer however much Bitcoin to the scammer immediately, or all your friends and family will know how shameful you are in private. And add in some exaggeration, not only is this alleged video evidence embarrassing, but it's also shameful and disgusting, or maybe even worse, and now you have a recipe that might push someone into paying up. Since at least the time of Aristotle, we've had the idea that emotions are persuasive when they're appropriate for the occasion. A speaker should express and evoke sadness at a funeral, for example. So looking at where emotions might not be a good fit for the situation can help you to find dangerous and manipulative emotions at work. So ask yourself, does this situation call for this emotion? Does this situation call for this emotion to this degree? Does it call for an emotional response with this kind of urgency? The goal for the manipulator is to get you whipped up and acting without taking a step back to think through whether you're doing something you actually want to do. If they can get you to feel exaggerated emotions and then funnel them through artificial urgency, they're more likely to get you to do unreasonable things. But of course, like with all things rhetorical, there are asterisks. Yes, manufactured urgency is a warning sign of something nefarious, but not every urgent situation is an evil one. It's reasonable and healthy to inspire an urgent sense of fear in someone whose hat is on fire, for example, and your favorite store putting on a sale for this weekend only may be artificial urgency, but we'd probably have a hard time calling that evil and manipulative. So again, rhetoric is all about context. We're pointing out warning signs, things that should get you to pay more attention when you encounter them, more than we're pointing out absolute markers of manipulation. But speaking of context, emotions that don't fit the context or that are beside the point are something to be especially cautious of. So let's imagine, for example, a very unscrupulous fourth grader running for class president. They're running because they got sent to the principal's office a few months ago, and they think that being class president will give them a good way to get back at the principal somehow. So this unruly fourth grader gives a speech to the class about how miserable homework is and how much they hate it. Never mind that this fourth grader has never once done their homework, but they know that other students hate it and that saying bad things about homework will get the class on their side. So they give their angry speech about homework, and the whole class starts chanting, "No more homework, no more homework." The energy in the classroom is electric, and our candidate says, if you want to free yourselves from the tyranny of homework, the first step is to throw eggs at the principal's office. Well, our dishonorable little class president got their class to feel exaggerated resentment for homework, and then used that resentment to settle a personal score against the principal. The emotions that they appealed to were totally unrelated to the speaker's actual motives, but they made the crowd more susceptible to the suggestion that they should egg the principal's office. Besides that, it's not even the principal who assigns homework, so the whole thing was a distraction. The emotions were unrelated to the issue at hand. So here we have a pretty unmistakable case of manipulation rather than true persuasion. We have negative emotions, they're being exaggerated, and then they're being drummed up in relation to something that is beside the actual point. Are you marching to the principal's office because you resent the principal? Or are you marching to the principal's office because you let your resentment of homework take over? Being more alert to the emotions that someone is trying to get you to feel and how they relate to your situation can help to protect you from attempts at manipulation. If you can recognize that someone is trying to use your emotions to push you into unrelated actions, then you're in a better spot to resist or reject the attempt. Wait a second, you might say. Yeah, I do hate homework, but throwing eggs at the principal's office isn't going to solve that problem at all. In the end, by looking out for warning signs like these, you can equip yourself to deal with pathos applied in dishonorable ways. By themselves, these warning signs may not be enough to guarantee that something shady is happening, but taken together, they can mark a higher likelihood that you should proceed with caution. And with something as complex as emotions, there are surely other problematic strategies out there too, but these guidelines will give you a good place to start. Yes, it's true that emotions can be tools of manipulation, but contrary to what some might say, that doesn't mean that emotions are always tools of manipulation. And it also doesn't mean that someone who does one of these things is out to get you. It's far more likely for most people to leverage negative emotions or exaggerate a situation because they don't know any better than it is because they're deliberately trying to get one over on you. That said, you don't want to fall victim to someone's clumsy bumbling either. So an inexperienced TikToker who takes the AI spell check sponsorship in order to pay rent may be employing unscrupulous tactics at the sponsor's behest, But I'd be careful about calling that poor influencer a villain. Have they made a mistake? Yeah, probably. Can they learn from it? We hope so. But does your enhanced rhetorical awareness give you the ability to protect yourself from spending your money on an empty promise either way? Absolutely. So while the TikToker trying to figure out the wild world of sponsorships and ad integrations may not be a bad person, there are genuinely nefarious people out there. And it's probably more reasonable in the end to lay the charge of villainy at the feet of the company who decided that emotional manipulation was the best strategy for their influencer marketing campaign. But in any event, now I'm straying into reminding you that these are tools for rhetorical self-defense, not rhetorical vigilantism. The main point is this, though. When you encounter a rhetorical situation where someone is leveraging emotions to achieve their rhetorical goal, defend yourself by asking these questions. First, what emotions are they connecting to? And are they primarily negative? 2, are the emotions being exaggerated or connected to a false sense of urgency? And 3, are these emotions actually relevant to the issue at hand? Do they make sense for this situation? And as a necessary bonus question for all situations, what can I learn about the speaker's motives? Are they connecting with my emotions for a good reason or to further their self-interest? Are they using questionable strategies in pursuit of something good, or are they using problematic strategies for problematic reasons? With all things rhetorical, there is no universal one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, we use these tools and methods for dealing with the complexities and nuances of different situations. So while there are some reliable warning signs of emotional appeals gone wrong, you'll always want to pay attention to the larger situation as you make your decisions about the strategies in play and the people using them. And with that, I suppose we've reached the end of our little chat about the dark side of Pathos. I want to thank you for spending your—
Hold on. You haven't forgotten today's sponsor, have you?
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh, as if. You know as well as I do that you have a contractual obligation with our parent company. So let's have the ad play now.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, I guess if we have to. At Kaputco International, we know that difficult times lead to difficult feelings. You're a little cocktail of abject sadness and barely contained rage, and you know what? You should be, because things are hard and no one is listening. That's why we're proud to present our newest product, Jar of Air. Did we mention that you're angry as you've ever been at the world for being so unfair and miserable all of the time? Well, you should be, and that's why Jar of Air is the thing for you. For one convenient payment, Jar of Air can be yours, and you can finally not be the embarrassing clown who doesn't have one. Please, we're begging you for your sake, stop being a shameful, angry dweeb and buy the jar while supplies last. Remember, that's Jar of Air, the latest from Kaputco International. What we do with your money is our business. Well, that certainly was an ad. Were you even listening to what we were talking about this whole time?
Huh? No, I'm not even listening to you now. I'm too busy filling orders for Jar of Air. Man, you're really going to feel worthless if you miss out on this one. Should I put you down for one?
Well, I mean, actually,
No, come to think of it, I'll put you down for 2. You could use all the help you can get.
Wow, thanks, bud. I mean, I guess that's that then. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.